In this demo, we are going to set up our support processes. To do that, we will need to have 3 steps in mind. First, we'll need to create our master process that contains all of the steps our support processes will need to leverage. Then, we'll need to create both our processes for general and refund requests. Finally, we will have to link those 2 support processes to the correct record types. So, let's get right at it. Welcome back. So in order to create our support processes, we need to do 3 things. If you remember, we first have to set up our master process. Then, we'll need to create our support processes, and finally, assign those to the correct record types. Let's start by creating our master process. To do this, we are going to click on the cog icon in order to access the setup menu. So, let's click on the cog in the top right corner of the screen. And from there, let's click Setup. Now we're now on the Setup menu. What we want to do is access the master list for our process. Now this will be in the Object Manager. So let's click on Object Manager and select the object that we want to edit. In our case, it will be the case. So let's look for the case in the list and let's click on the link to access the case object settings. Now from there, what we want to do is change the fields of the case. So let's click on Fields. Now from those fields, we need to find which field actually contains all of the steps of our master process. Now this, for the case, would be the status field. So let's look for the status field right there in Fields and Relationships. So you will see that we've got status right there, which is a pick list. And that's perfectly fine. Now, this will contain all of the steps of our master process, which we will then be able to select for each one of our process. So let's click on Status. And if we scroll down, you will see all of the values that our master process has. Now, we only have 4 of them, but we want more than that. If you remember, we also want to add waiting for customer and in approval. So we'll need to add those steps right there and then. So to do that, we will click the New button right over there. From there, we can add 1 or more values to our pick list. So we will add waiting for customer and waiting for approval. And then we'll press the Save button. Now our steps are properly added to the master pick list, but as you can tell, they are not ordered properly. They will display in that order to our users, and that's not what we want. Instead, waiting for customer should appear after working, and waiting for approval should be between escalated and closed. So we will reorder those steps in order to put them in the right order. To do this, let's click the Reorder button. We will take waiting for customer and move it up, right below working, and we will do the same thing for waiting for approval. We will take it and move it between escalated and closed. Then we'll press the Save button. So now our master pick list is ready. We now have all of the statuses that a case can take. But if you look here, you may remember that our refund process will use all of those, but our general process is not going to use all of those. So we need to find a way to say general is like this and refund request is like that. To do this, we need to create what are called support processes, which will go and take certain values out of this pick list and put them in a very specific process. So to do that, let's click on Home. And then we need to use a quick find in order to find support processes. Let's click on Support Processes. And from there, you can see that we have no support processes created yet. So let's press the New button in order to create a new support process. The first choice allows us to copy an existing support process. Now, because we do not have an existing support process, it's going to copy all of the steps from our master process. We are going to name this one refund request and press save. There, we need to select which steps will actually apply. All of them apply for the refund request, so we are going to leave it as this and press save. Then, we need to create our second support process called general request. Let's press the new button. Let's name this one general request and press save. Now from this process, we need to remove escalated and waiting for approval. Then we press the remove button and you can see that we only work with 4 values now. Let's press the save button. So we've got both our processes created. So last thing we need to do is assign those processes to the correct record types, which will allow us to tell Salesforce, when I create a case of this type, I want this process to appear. So let's go to the Object Manager again, search for case, click on it, and this time, instead of going to Fields and Relationships, we are going to click on Record Types. Now you can see we have no record types created yet. We are going to click the New button. So the first one is going to be for the general request. So let's name this one general request. Then you can see that we have a support process picklist. From this picklist, we can select one of the 2 support processes we just created. For this one, we are going to select general request. Make sure it is active so that we can use it. We are going to make this one available to all the profiles so that they can create cases of that type and press next. We are going to apply the same layout to all of them, and we are just going to use the generic case layout for it and press save and new in order to create our second record type. Now this one is going to be called refund request. Support process is going to be, of course, refund request. Let's make sure we make it active. And then we are going to make it available for all of our profiles so that all of our profiles can create cases of that type. Let's press next. We are going to select the same page layout and press save. And that's it. We now created 2 record types, one called general request and one called refund request, that leverage the processes we just created. So now, if I go back to my Salesforce user interface, go to cases, and create a new case, you will see that Salesforce now asks me which type of case I want to create. So let's select general to start with. And from there, if we click on status, you will see that Salesforce only shows us the steps that are available for a general request. So it leveraged our process exactly right. Let's see what happens if we select refund request. And you can see that all the steps we selected on the refund request process are available from there. Well done! You now know how to create processes in Service Cloud.